need? You know what we don't need, Zantz? Starting soon screens.
Yeah, we don't
Screw
need
those things. We've been through this. We've been down this road. The tweets are out.
I do want to get my own personal one.
I am live on Twitch and YouTube. You love to see it. And YouTube vertical? Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Let me... Hey, everybody that's like, or if anybody's here, it's like, oh god, this is so unprofessional. So? What's your point? Alright, copy the link.
An ad about gas stations and a dog.
Hell yeah. Edit tweet. Today's stream tweet. Boom. There's the new tweet for Pixel Profiles. You'll love to see it.
Boom.
Heck yeah there, bud. So. Hi, Zantz.
Hey, I'm also making sure like the model's moving good.
Oh yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Got decent flow to it. Did we use your model last time, or did we just use a PNG?
I believe it was PNG because I think the program was outdated and it wasn't loading for me back then.
That makes sense. But yeah. All right. Well, I have all of the chat windows up to be able to see. All right. So welcome to Pixel Profiles, the session on here on the channel I'm Good with Words, where I sit down with content creators all across various platforms, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Rumble, wherever they happen to be, and we sit down, we have a conversation about what brought everybody to content creation and what everybody happens to be interested in. So far, we have had D&D DMs, which is Zantz right here. We have had full-time artists like Spelly Does Art. We have had paralegals like Sylphia. We have had strip club DJs like 210LG. And we have had full-time musicians and streamers like that Maestro guy. So we have had quite a wide variety of content creators, and Zantz officially as the very first returning interviewee. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So what have you been up to? How's life been treating you since the last interview?
Pretty much the same. Life's just kind of meh.
I feel that.
I'll say outside of work, it's just game, anime, and then work on D&D stuff.
Nice. Work on D&D's. Anyway, I mentioned last time when you were on that I had a campaign worked up that it was specifically written for a group of people IRL, but that everything kind of fell through there. I have actually found a potential group to do that campaign with. And I'm actually very excited to get that going. But one of them is extremely busy. Like to the point to where like looking for a new place to live busy. So it's not going to happen just yet, but I am very excited. Yo, what up, Kai? How you doing? But real quick, I just want to address chat. Now, since we were just getting started, didn't really get into any sort of deep conversations just yet. Typically, when we're doing these interviews, I don't look at chat. Typically. I've kind of been a little bit lenient on it lately just because a lot of times chat is actually relevant to what we're talking about in that moment. But if you go over to Twitch, you will see Pixel Profiles ask a question as a channel point redemption. It's only 1 point, so literally all you have to do is follow the channel to get like your initial 250 points or however much it is.
What a steal.
It is a steal to make sure your question is asked at some point in time during the interview. Just want to make sure it helps me keep everything organized. And then we can go back, at the end, if we happen to miss any questions, we can go back and answer them in the list of channel point redeems, basically. But yeah, just want to welcome everybody. We're not ignoring you if we don't get to any questions or anything like that. It's kind of more of a conversational sort of environment. Yeah. I'm a little scattered today. Life has been fairly hectic over the past few little bits.
I feel that.
For those of you that are only familiar with the channel due to pixel profiles, like if you only came to like the most recent one with Queen Volcanica or Canny, I've been dealing with some neck issues. I was dealing with them back then as well, that they just hadn't fully blossomed quite yet. So if you see me twitching during stream or if you see me holding my neck, it's nothing new. I appreciate any concern anybody has, but it's just something I've been dealing with. Working on it. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yes. So, we've done our introductory stuff. If people want to know like how we got to know each other and stuff like that, they can go back, they can go watch that other one. It's a good interview. It was what was that interview? It was like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
I think so.
Yeah, it was a good chunk of time. It was fun too. I actually really enjoyed that one.
I had a blast with it.
Yeah. So, question.
Answer.
I, as you know, am going to be DMing my first campaign. We just talked about that. As somebody that has DM'd campaigns before, is there any sort of advice? Because this is going to be basically completely homebrew. Basically completely, other than what the characters want to work with. Like if they're working off of their character sheet that are from 5e or 6e or whatever the new book is.
Well, it's still 5e. It's basically 5.5.
Okay.
Yeah, because they just revamping some old rules and then putting in new ones.
Gotcha.
And they're changing a large portion of 5e.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, with that in mind, what sort of pitfalls do you think I should look out for when I'm DMing my first campaign? And this can apply to everybody watching. If you're planning on DMing a campaign, what sort of pitfalls would you specifically look out for?
Now, well, I'll say, and I know people who consume this content a lot probably already heard it and are annoyed by it, but it's the main thing. Watching stuff like Critical Role, Dimension 20, Legends of, I think Avandis is what they're called. Like those are all good points to study. Like Matt Mercer, Brendan Lee Mulligan, they're amazing DMs. They're popular for a reason, not just because they're famous. But yes, they have, every DM has their own style of play. Some will take from other people because that's what they've consumed from. But it's, they all have their own style of play, which will help them make their world and have their players enjoy.
Right. Now,
so a main thing that I say a lot of beginner DMs have trouble with, which I also have I still have that trouble sometimes, is letting players hog too much spotlight.
Right.
Not just from you, but from other players as well. You want to, even the player's handbook mentions it, to move the spotlight around between other players, not have everyone, not just have everything focus on one person for a while. Like, deal with one situation from one player and then just cut them off and like, all right, we'll get back to you. Now, hey, player B, what are you doing in this situation?
Gotcha. So it's not like their show, basically. It's like You know, I know you have, so you can say something to the extent of, I know you've got a lot of ideas right now, but you're not the only one at the table, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's a role playing game. Everyone's there to have their immersion in, to absorb your world. So you want to constantly swap back and forth, make sure everyone is having fun and staying attentive to things that's going on. Now, like it will get chaotic, you know, when people roll that nat 20, like they fail the really tough enemy or they succeed as a really difficult check, it's gonna get hectic. But yeah, you still, regardless, when you can, just put a pause on it, just put the little pin, and then move on to someone else, and then get back to it.
Have you ever run into any situations like that where somebody's just kind of, you know, run over everybody else? Not like calling anybody out. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
yeah,
not one really that I have ran. It's more like other games I've been in where there's a few people like that.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I mean, at least I don't think I've had it when I ran a game. If it has, then I just don't remember or I didn't catch it.
All right. So how was I? How was I?
You were completely fine.
Okay. I was the good little boy for my first time. Now I started with an accent. For those of you that didn't see our Wild Beyond the Witchlight, or whatever the name of it was.
Yeah, that's correct. Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Hey, good job, brain. For those of you that didn't see it, I started with an accent, and that didn't last. Mostly because I realized I was doing two separate dialects of the accent at the same time, and it kind of it messed with my brain.
that honestly happens almost every time someone tries an accent for a character.
Yeah,
they end up doing at least 3 different ethnicities.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's like Scottish is very recognizable. If you're good with a Scottish accent, go for it. But
yeah,
I was bouncing.
Especially if someone's a dwarf, that's the main accent they go to.
I blame Gimli. Because let's be honest, it's kind of the first mainline one that everybody got there. Yeah. Hi, Ray.
Yeah, because it's like dwarves are the Scottish, elves are like the pompous British.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they all got their stereotypes.
Very close to more French. Elves feel more French to me.
It more depends on the source material and what version elf they are.
Yeah, true.
Like the high elves, which it's in their lore, they're the most like stuck up version of elf you will ever find.
French.
Like,
got it.
Yeah. It's like they just believe everyone is more inferior to them, even other elves.
And yes, I am calling the French out. Fight me. I'll just run away anyway. It's fine. I'm making enemies.
But yeah, like I said, watching those like D&D, like the streams or listening to the podcast, those are great like study materials for beginners. Even for pros, like, or advanced DMs, those are still great source materials for you.
Yeah. I have been binging the absolute hell out of Legends of Evantris. Like,
Evantris, I did say it right.
I'll be completely honest. I can't get into Critical Role. I've tried. I don't know what it is. I don't know if their voices are just too famous that I can't really separate their work from what they, what they're doing right then.
I can understand that.
Or Brendan Lee Mulligan, like I love his comedy work. So anytime he tries to do something serious in the campaign, I can't take it seriously. But Legends of Evantris, like, yes, they have massively comedic portions, and that's how they blew up. Their funny stuff that they turned into shorts and put on TikTok and YouTube. Like, that stuff has snowballed like crazy. But their ability to transition to such a serious tone when it's necessary is, oh, it's so good. It's so good. They don't really, because they have like the slice of life episodes where nothing super important happens. They just run around and like do whatever they're doing. They've got their serious moments, which really feel like dire serious moments, and they've got their comedic bits that, you know, happen in between. And they do it so well that it's just hooked me. I've gone back and watched their stuff from like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's still just as good as the modern stuff. Just, you know, with less advertising for plushies. Oh, I'm not gonna lie to you though. If I had a job right now, if I had the income, I absolutely would have gotten a plushie or two. Dozen. Torbeck needs a new home. Anyway.
Whereas for me, I probably would just I make my own plushie. I have my own little Zantz right here.
I have my own plushie with blackjack and hookers. You know what? Forget the plushie and the blackjack. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
I could see a Zantz plushie. A chibi Zantz plushie would go hard.
I think I saw like someone before that actually does that kind of commission. I just don't remember where it is.
Oh,
or like,
we gotta find that.
Does.
We gotta find that. Zantz, when's your birthday?
In April.
April. Okay, we have time. Rim, we have time. Write that down. Write that down. Okay. Honestly, I would just model it after one of your emotes, because you've got some good emotes. The finger guns, your finger guns emote is the best finger guns emote on Twitch. I'm just gonna say it. It's so good.
Thank you. Almost all of my emotes are made by one person. I saw them. I think they recently started when I first commissioned them.
Shout them out. Shout them out.
Let me double check, because they have changed their handle a couple times, so I want to make sure it's correct now.
Yep.
Is it the same one? That is not how you spell that word.
Words
okay, it's
hard.
the same.
Okay.
Boy Skits.
Spell it. Voice.
Oh no, here. I'll type it in your chat.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
Oh, it's like biscuits. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's watch a clip. Let's watch a clip. What game is that?
Just biding my time
they still stream
until
art.
I have no idea what game that is.
So it's a game where you take up your.
I can kill the man.
It's kind of like a sword, but it's a brush at the end.
Okay.
Think of like Epic Mickey.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Neat. Also art. Very neat.
Oh wait,
Very
there's
cool.
an actual game. Oh. Yeah, the clip.
Yeah, there was an actual game. Yes. Yeah, it was playing a clip. I
am not
Zantz,
sure that is.
Zantz, we're making this a significantly more casual pixel profiles, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I kind of expect that anyway.
What up, Tyranitar? Yeah, so okay, so Rim, you got other plans that may allow that to happen? Love that. Yes.
How dare you conclude against me?
Yes. Is it colluding against you if we're doing something nice?
Maybe.
It is possible. So, what as a DM, we've talked about it. We've talked about like how hard it can be for serious moments, like, you know, funny moments, stuff like that. What's your favorite situation to oversee as a DM? Are you more of a I like watching these people figure out puzzles, or is it a I love when things kind of go off the rails and things get silly?
It's kind of a mixture of both. Like, I like the silliness, but I also like to make them think. Because was it my last session? No, it was the session before. So like a few weeks ago, they were fighting a boss. That it was first one, basically like a resistance group that they were teaming up with. The leader asked them to go to this town because there was a dangerous monster in the area, and the monster. I think I messaged you about it. It's like a puppet monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, what it does, it takes corpses and infuses its own magic into them and makes them puppets and can make them act and behave like normal people. And that was one they were fighting, and the entire fight was that as the main boss, and oh yeah, Rem, yeah, he remembers. Yeah, and the puppets were fighting as well. As soon as the fight started, some of the puppets immediately went to other civilians who were in the area who went to sleep. Brought their health down to 0, so it'd be more utilities for the monster. So they had to figure out how to deal with all the increasing number of puppets at the same time, dealing with this guy who's pelting them with stuff.
Yeah. That sounds awful.
Was it Serge? Because he's one of the players. He's the wizard of the party. He kind of realized and began to use AoE and line spells, which the puppet can't maneuver against, or the puppeteer can maneuver against properly. So he realized that was one weakness, because every singular target attack they made, it dragged a puppet in front of the attack.
Oh. So the magic system that I've worked out, I did take from an older D&D book. They're all color coded. The types of magic that are going to be taking place are all color coded. And because I know I can see the viewers. None of the people involved in the campaign are actually in chat right now. But they're not going to be able to actually, if they did see this, they wouldn't actually be able to have their characters know this without actually having Arcana check. So, all of the magic system is going to be color coded, and there is going to be a town with it's going to be a mining town that is known for their vibrant clear pure gemstones. And let's just say those two particular things are going to be very related.
The gems are mimics.
Well, some of them may be. I mean, honestly, like, there's no reason for them not to have one, at least. But the big bad towards the end, because it's going to be a shorter campaign. It's not going to be like multiple months long, because I kind of wrote it for like a short, like 3 or 4 session run, if that. But you know, it's going to have a bit of a hoarding problem. And it's going to know what all of the colors mean and how to use them. So that's going to be fun. I hope. Hopefully they just don't break it immediately, because that would be
I mean, if I have it, I said players will do the most randomest things.
They'll
You can
probably
never make
break
a
it.
contingency for everything because
Yeah.
they will always find something you never expect.
I do have a singular contingency to where if they just decide to nuke the mining town, there's a very big contingency that I kind of hope happens because it's actually hilarious, but hey, whatever.
But yeah, like one game, an RL game I'm in, when I'm the player, we found one of my party members, like teacher, who's a doctor. We found his corpse like cut up, like every limb was cut up and then spread out through the house. We collected them all into one pile, and we're thinking. And then the DM's like telling us, okay, you can still feel pulse. The body's alive, but somehow. And I'm just going through all my stuff. I'm looking. It's like, hey, is it still considered an object? And then they gave me the look that all DMs will give when someone asks a certain question. It was like, yes.
Roll a perception
right.
check.
No, they did ask that. I was like, all right, well, since it's considered an object, I'm going to cast the spell Mending to attach the limbs back to the body. And then they just looked at me and were like, this what I didn't expect anyone to use this spell.
Well, let's skip a few pages here.
Yeah, no, literally, they had a whole like side thing ready to help us get the doctor's body back together, and I just skipped the whole part.
So you need to find this magic needle, right? And you need to find this magic thread, right? That's gonna act like a mending spell, or you could just cast mending, and okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Q ripping sheet out of book.
Yep, just crumple that up and gone. Kobe. Oh my goodness. So.
And let's see what. Oh yeah, you said this whole thing's going to be homebrew.
Yes. Well, virtually, it's going to have like stepping stones. Like it's going to have like fundamentals of like the structure of D&D, of like the main like character classes, creatures. You know, I have a couple of custom creatures, but for the most part, there's no storyline coming from D&D. There's no characters being pulled from other campaigns. There's no honestly, if players want to bring homebrew spells, as long as they're written out well and like have like concrete, this is what they do, sure.
I'm gonna say like you probably already going to, but yeah, if they bring homebrew, always check it first.
Yeah, and
then just decide if it's.
It can't be something. It can't be like an orbital drop bear. Even though those do exist. Technically, I really wanted to do that in your campaign, by the way, when I was a werebear. I really wanted to find a way to make an orbital drop bear. And it just didn't work out.
But let's see, with homebrew stuff, I've been, like I told you, I've been constantly making homebrew.
Yeah.
Like I've made subclasses, moshers, items, spells. I've also made my own races or species, as it's now going to be called in the new updated handbook. Which pretty much every other system calls it a species. D&D is the only one still calling it races.
Even though, I mean, races still works because they can interbreed. Like,
yeah, but I believe they're trying to go away from a few of the controversies they had pertaining racism.
Like, that's the thing, though. They are races. Like, if they can interbreed, they're technically the same species. Which means they're not separate species.
Which, with that regard, one thing
like I get what they're saying. Like there was like I remember like the racial connotation with like people were saying like, well, black people are orcs represent black people and elves represent, you know, I think there was one person I saw that like elves represented Asian people or something like that. But like
I never saw nor heard anyone say orcs represent black people.
That was the big one. That was the big racial issue. Like that
I
was
don't
why.
remember ever hearing about that.
That was why. Like there was a massive outcry from certain groups of people that were saying like, oh well, they're like I'm not gonna say what they were saying because that'll get me canceled. Yeah. But like that was the whole big reason behind like the backlash from Games Workshop or towards Games Workshop in regard to why the races thing had to be changed. People were saying that certain races were allegories for certain people. And that was stupid and ignorant and said more about the people that made those assumptions than it did about Games Workshop.
Yeah, and what I was going to say earlier was some of the one of the many things I don't like with the updated handbook is they completely remove half races. So half elf, half orc, those no longer exist.
Oh, okay. So they made a canonical lore change to where they can't interbreed anymore.
I don't know. I think you can still do it. It's just functionally like as a stat block or like an available race you could pick to play as, those functionally don't exist. Like you could still flavors like, oh, my mother was a dwarf and my father was a centaur. You're still just one of those two. You don't have any defined traits from both.
I find that to be silly.
Everyone agrees with that.
But hey, what are you gonna do? See, and this is why homebrew is so good, honestly, because if you don't agree with what a certain company is doing,
one thing I like they did add in is they are saying it is compatible with the regular 5e, so you can like edit it as you go and like try and make it compatible forwards or backwards, so it's nice.
Yeah, I know they mentioned there's something in there that excuse me. There was a balancing patch. I think this was something that we talked about, not in Pixel Profiles, but in like DMs about like there was a certain class that needed changed. We would have had this conversation like 4 years ago, something like that. But there was like a class that needed buffed, and I think it was it Ranger? Monk. It was Monk, well, yes.
Ranger is also one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so notoriously, Ranger and Monk are one of the weakest classes compared to everything else. Like anything that's a spellcaster, they get insanely powerful once they hit, I think, level 7.
Yeah.
Because then they start getting really powerful stuff. Marshals, barbarian and fighters around that are also getting powerful. Like they're getting their extra attack, they're getting special class abilities. I didn't say paladin either. But like Rangers, very certain subclasses keeps Ranger alive, like Gloomstalker. They give you additional 10 feet of movement and 1 extra attack on the very first turn of combat. And like later levels, it's anything that relies on dark vision to see you, treats you as if you're invisible. Like Gloomstalker
that's cool. That's really cool,
powerful,
actually.
But I believe they also nerfed that. Like I think they remove a few of those abilities, which kind of sucks.
Well, didn't they completely remove dark vision as a class feature?
No, it's still there.
Dark Vision got changed somehow.
Did it?
I know Dark
might
Vision
not
got
have
changed
seen that.
somehow. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think certain species, as I'll try and call them now, I think certain species don't have like Dark Vision as a default trait.
Oh,
anymore.
that, yeah, I believe they did that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, which honestly I disagree with in certain cases. Like dwarves, for example. Dwarves, I think, should always have Dark Vision.
I believe they still have it. I do love that they changed a terrible ability dwarves had. Well, they changed two. One is just for anything that's a small species. Everyone starts at 30 feet of movement base, and then certain ones have a little extra. So dwarves are no longer slightly slower than everyone else.
But they should be.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it was also bad where like everyone's running away and then dwarves are just falling behind.
Yeah.
And the ability was, I believe it's called stone cutting. If I remember correctly, the old one just gives you like advantage on history checks about types of stone. The new one, which also I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about the old version. But the new one now, it's as long as you're on a stone surface, you gain tremor sense for like I think 10 minutes.
I don't hate that, but
yeah, for tremor sense, people who don't know, it's you just can detect anything that moves on the ground within your range.
Yeah. So obviously it's not going to affect any like flying or anything like that, but like yeah. If you're getting snuck up on, that's definitely handy. Yeah. I think it was a history check for any sort of stone structure. I don't think it was.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it was stone structure like temples and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that sounds right. Oh yeah, and moving on to like monks. Monks are just notoriously the worst class you could ever pick.
Yeah.
Like in terms of power.
Yeah.
They can be fun, but it's just you don't get enough key points because you don't get them to your second level. And it's only you have the amount equal to your level in monk. A lot of the subclass, almost all of them were lackluster. Like I would say maybe 4 subclasses are decently good. And yeah, they just can't compete in damage. Not just with spellcasters, but also with martials. They can't compete with other martial characters in terms of damage.
Yeah.
Because they start at a D4 of damage and they go up to a D no, not 12. A D10.
Yeah.
And yeah, in terms of martial, when everyone's a high level party, like spellcasters are dropping nukes on people. All the other martial classes are ripping through enemies with their weapons or their. And then monks is just all right. I'm gonna punch once, twice, another 1, 2. I'm done.
Yep, that's it. What do you think is the best change so far? That you've seen. Obviously, you probably you can't memorize every change, but like, what's your favorite one you've seen so far?
Yeah, I'm currently watching. I have to double check what their channel name is, but they're a D&D creator, and they're also one of the creators that was selected by Wizards to cover one section of the book, that the new one. And he's also slowly uploaded videos of the entire book now that they lifted the ban of people talking about the whole thing.
Yeah.
So from what I've saw so far, a lot of the subclasses I really like. They've actually listened, which is a very
strange for Wizards. Yeah.
Yeah. They listen to people. Like they made monks, rangers really good. like monks can be a real good powerhouse now. They increase the damage up, so you start at a D6, you end at a D12 now. They also let you gain more key points. Like you don't get more, but you can gain more, like as an ability. Like, oh, if you have 5 or less, use this ability and you gain X amount. Stuff like that.
Oh, so it's like a recharge almost.
Basically, yeah. That was the word. I had a brain fart on the word. Barbarian. One subclass that was not notoriously bad, but just not the greatest to pick. That got really buff. It was, I believe, Berserker is the right one. It's whichever one that every time you rage, when it ends, you get a level of exhaustion, and you don't get that many bonuses from it. They've now just changed around that and worked it out. And also with this, which I like they didn't just do for Barbarian, they did it for another class, I forgot which, but it's now certain abilities you have can now work off of your main stat you use for that class. So like Barbarians can use Intimidation, Perception, Stealth with their Strength modifier instead of the normal Charisma, Wisdom, and Dexterity.
Oh, wow. So it's literally like, okay, I'm flexing my facial structure to make me look more convincing.
Yeah.
Literally mewing.
Mewing
the ability.
Eye muscles. I flex my eye muscles to see from afar.
I flex my eye muscles to seduce the vampire. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Now, what I haven't seen the entire spell changes yet. I am truly hoping they fix one of the worst spells they've ever made. See Invisibility. It does not do what it says. Or it doesn't at least do what it should do.
So it doesn't show you things that are invisible?
It does, but it doesn't remove the invisible condition from a creature that you can see. So you can see them attacking you, and you can see them to attack. But when you make the attack, because they still have an invisible condition, you still have disadvantage on the attack.
That's silly. I can see how it would still apply to the rest of the party, but the person that can see them shouldn't have that debuff.
Yeah, they don't get advantage when they attack you because you can see them. But then it stops there. It should be both ways.
I'm wondering if it's a concentration thing. Like when you go to attack, you lose the see invisible thing temporarily. Like, I wonder if there could potentially be a lore reason behind it.
I don't know. The Jeremy Crawford said something, and no one likes it. Like, almost everyone I know is just house rules. It was like, no, yeah, you attack normally.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that's what I do for my players. If they have some way to see the invisible creature, they attack like it's not invisible. Gotcha.
Yeah, and honestly, that's how it should be. Like, I can understand if it specifically says it's a focus spell. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like if a ranged player has to stay focused on them, then they shouldn't get any debuffs because they're constantly focusing on them for aim or something like that.
Now, one change I do remember, which has I think this is the only one I see with such a mixed review so far, is the change for counterspell. Now, the old counterspell was use your reaction when someone casts a spell, and you counter it if it's the same level as your counterspell. So counterspell is a third level spell. If they're casting like Fireball, which is also third level, it gets countered immediately. If it's higher than your counterspell, then you have to roll a d20 and add your spell casting modifier. Or no, yeah, the spell casting modifier to the roll. And if it's 10 plus the spell level or higher, then you counter it.
Yeah. Yo,
Now
what up,
they
LG?
Now they change it where I believe it's you have to make a concentration check, and if you succeed, you counter the spell. I believe it's you. I don't remember if it's you or the one who originally cast the spell who makes a check. But I do know there is a concentration check involved.
I'm pretty sure it has to be the one doing counterspell. Pretty sure.
Yeah, but so I'll have to double check and look for it because I haven't finished seeing the entire change that happened.
So basically, it goes from no, that's not happening to basically like a beam struggle from Dragon Ball.
Yeah, like I see both sides. Like, yeah, it sucks for the players because now they got to do a little more for it when they're trying to preserve themselves. But it's nice for the DM because I've experienced a few times. Like, I have spell casting enemies that sling a fireball or they're trying to teleport away to safety, and then it gets counterspelled. They try to use counterspell. A second player in the party uses their counterspell to remove that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I can see both sides.
He is a GM. He is. Yep. He actually darkzantz on Twitch. Exactly how it's spelled right there. Definitely go check him out. He does GM some games. So yeah, I was actually one of the players. It was a very good time. I had a very welcoming and very immersive and very fun first experience.
Thank you. Yeah, sadly I can't stream my games that much anymore due to my current living situation.
Yeah,
as I'm sharing a room. When I can finally move out and have my own room, I'll be streaming my games again. I do know when this campaign is over, I will either be doing one of two things. It will either be streaming one game that I've kickstarted. It's Mythcraft, a new TCRPG. It's a really fun system.
Should have given me a link for that, man. I would have added that to the list of stuff.
I don't know if they have a Twitch. I don't remember ever seeing them posted. They do have a podcast on Spotify.
I thought it was something you were kickstarting. Okay, I thought.
Oh no.
Something you contributed to on Kickstarter. Okay,
yeah,
I was like, wait, you started a thing and didn't tell me? I am insulted.
But yeah, they do have a podcast on Spotify. Just really search up Mythcraft and you'll find it. It's spelled exactly how it says. Myth for like mythology, and then craft for crafting.
Yeah, that's the thing, LG. Like whenever I was really wanting to get into D&D, I just happened to run into Zantz. And it was just like a very fortuitous circumstance that was like, yeah, I'm about to start a campaign. And I was like, really?
The gods have spoken.
Yeah, basically. Honestly, from what I've heard from people, the best way to start D&D is basically go to a local games store. Like, go to where the nerds are, basically.
Yeah, really just go to your LGS and it's like, hey, anyone running any D&D games or anything like that? And they'll say, yeah, there's a group back there right now. You can ask if you can join. Or they'll say like, no, we don't got one, but hey, we do have other people who are interested. Put your name down here and then we'll see if we can get a DM for you guys set up.
Yeah. There
is also online options. I don't remember the name of the website. I think it's like DM Now or something like that. You can find people, DMs who are looking for players and then join them. There's a paid version and a free version. I just don't remember if the website's the correct name.
There's also Discord channels you can join. I know Legends of Evantris has a community Discord where they have sections for people looking to start their own campaigns. And like for GMs and for players. So like if that's, find discords. There's definitely some people that take it way too seriously.
Yeah.
And if your first campaign is with somebody that takes it way too seriously, just remember that they're not all like that. Now, if that's how you want to play, if you want to be one of those people that's like strict straight up to in the rules, it's like there's no deviation. We can have fun, but there's no deviation or gray area. Then you can find people that want to play like that. Like that's the thing about D&D.
Sorry. I will say, and so I'm just constantly like dropping like creator after creator names, but it's like there's a lot of like good options and like people you can see to help you with stuff. There's Crit Crab, who reads and reviews D&D horror stories. Like tells you, hey, this is what you shouldn't do, or this player in this story is the model player. Like they're the kind of person like how you should act in the proper game. There's Joe Cat, who one is already an amazing person on his own, and two, he's also made some silly like tutorial videos on D&D of how each class works and like how some of the races or species are.
Yeah. And, setting up, like determining whether or not you want to play with people is basically set up on day 0. Before the campaign ever starts, sitting down and actually setting up your ground rules is like the most important thing. That way you can actually figure out whether or not this is a group of people that you would actually mesh with.
Yeah, that's what we refer to as session 0, and it's always highly encouraged to have one no matter what.
Yeah. Even if it's a group of people that you play with normally, you can kind of give like the feel of what the campaign is going to be.
It's more to like show how the campaign will be, setting the rules for like, all right, I don't allow this or that.
Yeah.
Or hey, my campaign's going to include these subjects. They might not be fit for people. I'm letting you know before you commit to a game. And then also introductions for characters.
Yep. And those introductions for characters can just be, this is my character, this is what they are, and this is a little bit of their backstory. Or if, let's say, you're doing like a prison break beginning to a campaign, which, is kind of universally understood to be like, okay, this is why they're in a group to begin with. You can do like small sort of like mini campaigns, not campaigns, like mini sessions to like explain how they got to prison to begin with, to kind of give them like a more immersed feel as to why they're in prison.
Yeah, and if for people who are DMing their own, there's a few like officially published campaigns that's pretty decent for newcomers. Let's see, there is a prison break one. It's like, I think, Key to the Golden Vault or something like that.
I brought up that example because that's what mine's gonna be.
There it is. I found it. I almost had a word for word. Keys from the Golden Vault. That is a prison break one, at least from when I glimpsed the synopsis, it seemed like a prison break one.
Yeah.
Let's see. I feel like Witchlight could also be good for beginners.
Yeah, it was. I feel like based on what I've seen other D&D campaigns being, there's definitely significantly more complicated ones. But I think Witchlight was a very good introductory one, especially for me.
I also believe Candlekeep Mysteries might be one. I've never looked through it or played it, but I believe it starts at low levels and has different things for different tiers of play. and Icewind Dale is a maybe. It does have a few like kind of high level stuff in there, but it might be solid for new players. And only other one I would say possibly is maybe called the Netherdeep, which is one made by Critical Role herself.
Yeah. And, you know, naming off all of these, for anybody that's, you know, just coming in or like, you know, LG, I don't think you were here when we were talking about homebrew. There's, you know, there are pre-made online campaigns like Zantz just listed off. But if that's not something you want to do, like that's the freedom that, you know, D&D or, you know, honestly, D&D has existed forever. It's kind of become a colloquial term to tabletop roleplay. So you don't have to stick to D&D rules. You don't have to stick to D&D terminology.
You can make your own.
Yeah, you can make your own universe. You can make your own species, subclasses, you know, races, creatures, you know, cities, everything like that. That's the freedom of it. If anybody's been struggling for a creative outlet, if you can't draw, but you have all these ideas in your head, write them down. You don't need to be able to draw. As long as you can describe them to your players and you can give that mental image to them, that's all that really matters.
And one website that works is what I use for all my homebrew stuff, GM Binder. You can look at other people's stuff first to get a glimpse and a feel of how it's set up.
GM Binder's free, right?
Yeah, it's free. Let me check how much I made.
It's gmbinder.com, I think.
Yes. I've made like 9 or 10 things on GM Binder so far.
I'm just going to upload my campaign onto there. Basically, that's what I'm going to be spending the rest of the day doing, basically.
Oh, no, okay. I've made 8 things. I'm working on the 9th. I've made 5 subclasses and 3 races.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a picture of one of the mini bosses that I'm going to be using.
Do you mind if I post my GM Binder in your chat?
By all means. Hang on.
Alrighty. Is this the right link? Yes, it is.
There you go.
Make sure.
You got 60 seconds.
60 seconds. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's going to be one of the mini bosses.
Oh yeah, you showed me this before.
Yeah, that was a long time. I've had this thing written up for a while. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to using that.
I mean, that's kind of the same how I have for my BBG, which is now fully revealed to the players recently.
Nice.
Literally last session it was fully revealed, which I know I've told Rem. I don't remember if I told you. It was the magic shop owner in the very first town they went in.
Yeah. Which
it's now
hilarious.
Fully revealed to everyone that he's actually. Oh well, they haven't fully figured if he's just someone who's really high up in the chain, or if he's actually like the leader, and what his connection is to the god that's trying to be released into the world and turn it into an ice age.
No spoilers. Now, I know you can't stream these campaigns, but have you considered recording them and then like editing out any, you know, times where you're not alone in the room?
See, I can't do it because it's always on in the room, and the TV's like almost always on with it.
Gotcha.
So
understood.
I honestly like mute my mic when I'm not talking, explaining something to them.
Got it.
I would love to do it, but it's just I'm currently unable to until I can move and get my own room.
Yeah. Well, time to run an extension cord out to the car and But yeah, man. All right. So there is one other thing I wanted to ask you, and my brain is blanking on it. And I have been reminding myself periodically throughout this entire stream to remember to ask you this.
How to deal with murder hobos.
No, I know how to deal with them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fairly
So I have a fun thing for them.
Oh, yes. So outside of GM Binder, because I think that's what flipped it in my head. Outside of GM Binder, are there any resources that homebrewers like me can use that have like extra resources like that you use specifically, like map builders, anything like that you're aware of?
For maps, I use Incarnate. Here, I'll type it out.
Yo, what up, Raze?
Incarnate. Yeah, Incarnate is what I use for maps. There is a subscription. But I believe you can also make, I think, like up to 10 maps when it's free. And you just have limited resources. But the subscription is only like, I think it's like $5 or $10. So it's not like expensive. That's what I use for maps. There's also, D&D Beyond itself has homebrew, entire homebrew section.
True.
So, which XP level 3, he reviews bad ones on there, just to have fun. But there's also, you can do the opposite. Look at the good ones, and they have an alpha for maps on there. I believe, if I remember correctly. I have to double check, but I believe that is it.
So dndbeyond.com. There's another link for everybody in chat. Well, not the main chat. Well, that's the main chat, but dndbeyond.com. There you go. There's for YouTube.
Yep, I was right. There is an alpha for maps.
Nice.
And it also has an encounter builder. So if you're planning on using something that has a set stat block, you can like kind of compare it to an average party, see if it's too difficult or too easy for them.
Oh, but that's also, cool. That's the kind of resource I was thinking of. Like, oh my God, excuse me, that was disgusting. Now
the only thing is the builder does not include like items players can use.
Yeah.
So you gotta keep that in mind, and also just challenge rating as a whole is a terrible system for D&D. Because, it will say, something's challenge rating 8, and you're a party of, like, level 3s. You can still beat the 8.
Yeah.
It'll be a little difficult, but it's still possible.
And it also depends on the DM, because, like...
And also, up to luck.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Like, a nat 20 can come out of anywhere.
Yeah, no, there is like one game, like we were fighting this, the DM made like a really tough enemy, like it had all kinds of maneuvers and abilities, and it just flopped so bad for him because he rolled like 4 1s in a row.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it was like he missed all the attacks on like me and someone else, and then a couple of us got real lucky and rolled a crit, and we just like melted through half his health in one turn.
Love that. All right. So it is getting close to end time.
That is.
So since this is your second time back, I have a surprise segment for you.
We love punishment.
Let's flip reverse it. Do you have any questions for me? Put the name down, flip it, and reverse it.
Okay, let me write my name down, reverse it. It's almost exactly the same backwards as it is forwards.
Oh, nice.
Zantz. Um, what are things you would love to see in a D&D game?
In regard to what?
Either as a player or as a DM.
As a player, I would very much like to play a Percy Jackson versus the Olympians sort of campaign, or like a God of War themed sort of thing where like the players are demigods, like canonically demigods, and like they are actually going after the gods. I would like to have something like that to where everybody is incredibly powerful, but they have to go up against the incredibly powerful. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
I really like storylines where they go from the beginning and like they have that character arc. But I feel like trauma and having a reason to go on the quest, like with Kratos in God of War, for example, like, you know, forced to wear his family's ashes for all eternity, in like, you know, being tricked to kill his family, like that sort of stuff, like traumatizing the characters makes for better story, I think, than better story and motivation than just having people going and doing stuff. You know what I mean? So like having apocalyptic events being the reason that the demigods, you know, like finally like, all right, I've had enough of this bullshit. And then they're tired of the vengeful gods, so they themselves become vengeful, and they become the very thing that they swore to defeat, and they become the villains. Like, I like storytelling. I like stuff like that. But as a DM, I also want to tell that story. But I have to write it, because that's not what my campaign is. Got to write it.
No, what's nice is the first version you said was, you know, kind of like a trial of gods thing. There's almost a official campaign like that.
Nah, fuck that.
Yeah, it's the Mythos of Theros campaign, where it's the Magic the Gathering setting Theros. And what's also funny is where I said like one or two things I will do after this current one finishes. The second of the two things I might do is kind of like that, where I'm making the entire setting more involved with the gods I've made.
Nice.
Yeah, because anyone who follow me on Twitter, I have been occasionally posting a brief description of one of the gods I've made, along with the sigil I designed and actual artwork I've designed as well, if I had it finished.
Yeah.
Like I've posted I think 5 gods so far, and I made like 14 of them.
So, oh wait, nope, sorry. This isn't my interview portion. This is your interview portion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, like, did you pull from any sort of specific mythology, or are these just characters that like you thought of?
I want to say there has been, because, you know, I've more than likely I've subconsciously took from certain things and put it together.
Oh yeah, that's what imagination is, taking in experiences and warping them into your own creation. So like,
I do know for a fact the gods I've made, some of them I made so far, is a combination of Norse mythology and which other one? And probably a combination of Norse and Greek mythology.
I mean, they're not too dissimilar.
Yeah, they're not too.
They definitely line up in certain areas.
But there is enough differences to make them separate.
Yeah. Like, for example, Norse mythology technically doesn't have a god of horses. Technically. But Poseidon is the god of horses. And also the god of the sea. Which is where we get seahorses from, by the way.
Amazing.
They like that's where seahorses got their name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is other mythologies I picked from. I just can't remember.
Chat, I made that up. Don't believe everything you hear on the internet. Do your own research.
Or do.
Anyway.
That's fun. Zach just made me up.
This is an AI. Like...
Yeah, didn't you know Zantz is actually an acronym that he created?
Zany artificial nanite technology .zip. I extracted the file. This is the extracted file.
You have to bypass the security,
The password is password. With capital ass. Anyway. Oh, man.
But yeah, it's a combination of, for a fact I know those two mythologies, something else that I'm probably not thinking about, and then just my own creative juices flowing into it.
Juicy.
Juicy.
All right. Chat, opening up the question to you. Do you have any questions for Zantz or any questions about D&D in particular? Maybe not even about D&D. Maybe you want to ask him, like, where he got his VTuber model, or like who you can hire to do emotes, or something like that.
Sorry, you can't fuck the mimic.
Not with that attitude.
All right, then roll.
Just cast speak with animals and seduce the mimic.
Joke's on you, it won't work. Speak of animals only works on beasts. A mimic is a monstrosity.
Oh, so it speaks English, so I don't have to roll for that. Cool. Or I don't have to cast that. Cool. All right. I got my die. 17. With a plus 12 charisma modifier.
Oh, it's a plus 12?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. You're just shy of it.
Damn. It's going to be a rough one then.
But it will eat you first. I'll guarantee that.
I throw a bottle of brandy into the mimic's mouth.
Oh, wait, and I see a question from Ruben.
What's the most your players have derailed your campaign?
Let's see. Was it Witchlight or my current one?
What did we do?
I don't think that you guys did have me skip a few things. Okay, no, Witchlight.
I thought we were pretty thorough, but then again, I didn't have the book in front of me, so.
Let's see. For my current campaign, Silvaria. I'm like really thinking. I'm trying to think which one's been the most crazy. It will probably be when they just like when the player who acted as like the de facto leader, he wanted the lieutenant basically of the cult they're fighting. He wanted him dead because he siphoned power out of him, and he wanted to get his power back. So they just constantly like went straight at any information they found related to the guy. And I had to constantly hold back on that enemy because I made it level 20 and they weren't even double digits yet.
Yeah.
So often when they went into combat with him, I had to hold back and only have him do like one attack, which was like a minimum of I think like 15 damage.
That player really said, "You think you're gonna suck me and leave? Nuh-uh." I mean, what?
Okay.
What's a moment you're proud of where you're forced to heavily improvise?
I was forced to heavily improvise.
I have to ask, by the way, real quick, while you're thinking about that. The rabbit, the whatever the frickin' species it is.
Paragon?
Yeah. Was he supposed to join us?
No.
Okay. So
that was actually an enemy I added in.
Hell yeah. So you added an enemy in and then ended up being like, yep, he's with us. Did you even intend for him to be part of our group? Or was he supposed to be like an extra?
He was gonna die right there, and one of you said, "Hey, can I go back and see if he's alive?" And so I just started rolling death saves at that point. I'm like, all right, well, let me see. Oh, okay, well, he succeeded all his death saves, and then one of you brought him back up and convinced him to join.
Yep, and nobody talked about how I ate his people. Somehow that secret was kept the entire time.
Let's see. Heavily improvised moment would probably be.
Don't ask questions, Rim. While you're thinking about that, I'll explain why I ate his people. I was playing a werebear dwarf, and as a flavor condition for my character, while I was in werebear form, after I killed an enemy or after an enemy died near me, I had to roll a Constitution save to determine whether or not I would stop eating them. Granted, every turn I didn't stop eating them, I gained like a D4 of health back. But yeah, there basically that whole fight I was eating somebody. But I walked away with full health, so that was nice.
Oh, wait. Okay, now I remembered. It's the crazy old lady NPC I had.
Hell yeah. We love a crazy old lady.
Yeah, so they went to they were told to go to this druid's house in the middle of the woods.
That's never a good start.
It's a druid. All they're told was she's a little not right in the head, and they go in. They see this like sweet like grandma like kind of lady just sitting there. She's like walking around. Like, oh, welcome in. I'll make you some cookies. And they step inside her house, and they see one of the monsters they've been fighting like strapped down to like a force field, like being tortured. And everyone's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, me eating a corpse doesn't sound so bad now, does it, chat?
And I made her the most infuriating, crazy lady ever. It was she was like 800 years old.
It still sounds bad. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, and then everyone's just like trying to ask her questions. Like it's like, hey, so you know what the weakness is for this? Like, yes. Silence. Are you gonna tell us? No.
Fair enough.
And it was just like constantly like that the whole time. It was a great moment.
Just like one word answers. It's like, yeah.
It's either they got a one word answer from her, or an answer from her that just shows how far into craziness she is. And each answer
Add
is
her
more
to the
crazy
party.
than the last.
Could there have been a possibility for your players to actually add her to the party?
No.
Okay, that would have been funny. So imagine she knows all the weak spots of all of the enemies you're about to come across.
And oh yeah, for Rim's other question, that one is an easy one for me to answer.
Which one was it? What's a moment you're proud of that's heavily improvised, or what's something you didn't think your players would struggle with that you thought would be easy?
Yeah, the last one. When players travel from one area to the next, DMs just pull up the random encounter table. I was doing that. I pulled it up. I'm like, all right, someone roll a D100. All right, this number. Roll me a D6. That's how many enemies there are. It's 5. It was Gorgons. For some reason, D&D doesn't have Gorgons as snakes. They're metal bulls that petrify you with their acid breath.
There's probably some kind of trademark copyright to that particular style of Gorgon.
No, because they have Medusa as an enemy.
Well, that's just bullshit. Medusa is a Gorgon. What?
Like, Medusa is its own separate stat block.
Generic Gorgon should be the exact same stat block, just reduced by a percentage.
No, like, literally, just look up D&D Gorgon, and you'll see a metal bull, like, spewing gray smoke from its nose. But, yeah, that was the enemy they fought. They were fighting 5 of them. They were, like, level...
I hate that.
I think... you see it now.
Yep. That's a thanks, I hate it.
They were, like, level 8 at the time, I think. The Gorgons, a CR... I want to say 6? Either 5 or 6.
Where's CR? Where's CR?
Let's see. Gorgon.
Does it even say it on here?
CR5. Okay.
Where are you looking?
I'm looking on D&D Beyond.
Right, I am on the Gorgon sheet.
So it's right under languages. It'll say challenge and then 5.
Oh, I didn't even see that. 1800 experience though, let's go!
And that's not too good. You gotta split that among people.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so they were fighting like 5 of those.
You knock them out first.
Still no.
Unless you kill them first.
Unless you solo kill them, then yeah. But yeah, it was like 5 of them. There was 5 or 6 of them. They're almost level 10. So, like, all right, they'll breeze through this. It has a little bit of health, not that much. Doesn't really do that much damage. Oh my god, I was so wrong. It kept trampling people over and knocking them prone. Half the party was failing the save to not be petrified, and it was the ones who are proficient in that save.
A DC 13 and they were failing that with proficiency?
Yeah, like the highest one was, I think, plus
baby
9.
Jesus.
The lowest one was plus 1. The people with the lower scores were succeeding. The one with the higher were failing, and I was so baffled.
I rolled a 2.
Yeah, and then like one person almost got petrified. They failed 2 saves.
I literally just rolled a 1 on my die.
Yeah, it was
I guess I'm rock hard now.
Yeah, and then eventually they were able to kill all of them. But yeah, that was one, if not the most trouble they've ever had with an encounter.
Yeah. I mean, that encounter seems kinda bull. Anyway. Oh my god. Zantz, my friend.
Zach.
I enjoyed this one just as much as the last one. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah, I love having this.
Yeah.
It's great.
Anybody else that wants to be on Pixel Profiles, definitely just reach out to me. If you've already been on, that's perfectly fine. If you or anybody wants to be on Pixel Profiles, have them send me a direct message on Twitter, Discord, on either accounts, either ManBearZac or Pixel Interviews, and definitely go check out Zantz. I don't have a command. Hang on. My brain is my brain is good. My brain is good. Fingers, stop typing things incorrectly. Twitch.tv/darkzantz. There we go.
And with my content, you will just see not just TCRPGs, but JRPGs.
True.
I'm a role-playing fanatic.
Persona. Big in the Persona.
I need to finish Reload because episode I guess is about to come out.
Nice. All right, y'all. Zantz, again, thank you so much for coming out, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime you want to come on, just let me know. And do you have any last words?
All right.
Fair enough.
No,
all right.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. Just blessed be all your dice to get the roll you wish.
Yes, indeed. I have a quick question before we actually do a final sign out.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in a collab stream where we sit down and we just kind of brew up our own thing?
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay, that sounds like fun. We will work that out. Yeah.
Because in fact, which I'll just say this real quick, when Spelly does her her work together that she's trying to do, if I'm free from work, I was just gonna pop in and work on designing the gods I have.
Nice. Yeah, I was I'm planning on doing those work togethers and working on learning HTML, CSS, and Java. So yeah.
Yeah, either that or I'll just do more of the GM binder work I have.
Yeah. All right, YouTube, this is where we part ways. YouTube, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Definitely be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button down below. Make sure you have the bell notification turned on so you can actually be notified when we actually go live with streams. You can basically find Pokemon content as well as these Pixel Profiles interviews.